Yeah, we do have a quorum.
I want to make sure. I've got 5. Are y'all ready?
I do too.
All right, well, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. If you bow your heads, please. Dear Lord, watch over us today. Help us and remember those that are still dealing with this virus and things out there. Bless our country and help us come together, Lord. And also watch over us as we make our decisions today, that we would listen and make good decisions. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
And I've just gotten a text from Chief Miller, and he is still not able to talk. But Mr. Guthrie, I believe, is, let's see, I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. Mr. Guthrie can talk. So hopefully if we can just fix everybody else.
What's Chief's last name?
Miller.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move, Foster.
Do you have a second?
Guthrie seconds.
All in favor? We need to do that.
You need to say all in favor, and anyone who objects, please say so by their name.
Okay, that sounds great. So all in favor, if you are opposed, please say no with your name. Good? Okay. All right, agenda is approved. Approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion for that?
Guthrie, so moved.
Second, Foster.
Okay. Once again, we have a motion for approval of the minutes. If you're opposed to that, please say so with your name.
Okay,
All right.
Jennifer, show that's unanimous, please.
Recognition of the public. Do we have anything from the public?
We have not received any emails.
Okay. I do not have any report other than to say that sorry about the mix up last Monday. That was my fault. I forgot that we had a couple of folks that did not need to meet in person. And so we'll just have to kind of revisit that and see what we want to do for next month. Report of the county mayor.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any report unless there's a question somebody needs to ask. Thank you, sir.
Okay, the sheriff is not going to be out here today. He sent out the regular reports we get with the number of folks in jail and everything like that, and he has already had something. And Aaron Pickard called in today. He was not feeling well, so if you need anything, from them, you'll just have to ask them. And I have the reports if you need those. Report of the fire department.
Mr. Chairman, did you get the email I sent you with the report?
I do not know for sure, and I can't access right now. But you just sent the numbers in from the fire department.
Yeah, I sent you some numbers, but I'll go ahead and read them off. 2020 concluded with 4,799 calls. That was 42 calls more than 2019. January, there were 351 calls with no report from Shackle Island. So that's the end of my report unless there's some questions.
Thank you.
Can we get these reports sent to us?
I can send them out. I'll double check my email. If I don't get it, I'll get with him. I know I got the one from the sheriff. So
If anybody would just forward these to Ben or I, we can get them out to everybody, just lickety split.
Forward them to who?
To either me or Ben Allen in my office.
Okay.
The next is report of the Emergency Services Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You should have received all members should have received an email with our monthly report.
Grayson, come here.
Just wanted to call everyone's attention to that report. If you have it, it should show an increase in responses over the previous years, as well as an increase in transports over the previous years. Also want to call to your attention, if you do look at January, you're going to notice a slight decrease of about $100,000 in revenue. The explanation for that is our previous billing company that handles the EMS billing was AMB, stands for Ambulance Medical Billing, out of Paducah, Kentucky. Their contract expired late last year. So we went out to bid and we have awarded the bid to EMSMC, a company out of North Carolina. They had some very good reviews and they have a very good track record for collectability on EMS accounts. But anytime you transition from one billing company to the other with a medical billing contract, there's always a 90-day lag because we have to submit a change to Medicare, to TennCare, to Blue Cross Blue Shield, to all of those. And it's typically, as I say, Chairman, about a 90-day lag to get everything caught up. So the good thing about it, it's not lost revenue. It's just going to be delayed revenue. And we've had a delay in receiving our TennCare payments this year as well. We received email from the state yesterday, came in actually late on a Sunday night, that the TennCare payments are supposed to be caught up in March. So our revenue should actually be greater than what it was in 2020 when all these things catch up. But I'll entertain any questions that anyone may have over those reports.
I have a quick question. Is there rearing up for budget time? How is that going to affect you preparing for budget at all in any way?
No, and I've had discussions with David Lawing, and we're both aware, and the revenue slowdown should correct itself before we get deep into budget talks and before the end of the fiscal year as well.
Okay, I just want to be sure. I know that we'll have those meetings soon. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions for Chief Miller, we'll go to report of emergency management. Mr. Widener.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we're all enthralled in COVID-19 and we have been very active in that. And we've quite honestly stopped looking at numbers as much as we were because we know that we're on a decline, but we are heavy into vaccines right now. So since December, we've been working with the health department every day, with the exception of Sundays. We did work yesterday on some vaccines, but we've been doing vaccines every day, along with EMS at Ball State Community College. So to date, we've run a little over 12,000 vaccines, and there's a limiting factor on that, and that has to do with the total number of vaccines that the health department receives from the state. So we're working with the state, working with the health department, and we're hoping that the flow goes from a trickle to a good flow of vaccines coming in so we can get more people vaccinated. Our throughput right now, we're doing about, we've had some 350 days, we've had a lot of 650 days, and we've had a couple of 8, close to 900 days where they had some extra doses that they actually put in arms. So when we get that good flow, we may even look at expanding what we're doing and go to multiple sites, but that's something that we'll look at in the logistics and the planning moving forward with that. So before I move on from that, does anybody have any questions regarding COVID vaccines?
Yeah, I have a question. Is that 12,000 number first shot or fully vaccinated?
It's a combination of both, all first responders, but I'd say the vast majority of first responders have received their initial shot and their booster shot. The ones that are lagging behind are the ones that either couldn't get the initial dose when we initially offered it, or they changed their mind and they decided they want the vaccine, so they are due their booster dose. So that's a combination. So for instance, today, to tell you the numbers that we ran today, we did 22 Moderna, which are second dose, 239 second dose Pfizer, and 361 first dose Pfizers. Those numbers could be up a little bit, because if we get close to the end of the day and they have to open another vial, then that gives us 6 or 7 more doses that we do. So there's a lot that goes on towards the end of the day in regards to, number one, we don't want to lose any vaccines. So we're calling people in to make sure we get that. We've got people who didn't show up. We've got people who show up that for whatever reason, they didn't have an appointment and they were allowed to come in. So there's a lot of variables there, but all in all, I think we're doing an okay job. I really, if we had more vaccines coming in, our throughput could be a lot higher, probably to the tune of 1,000, 1,200 doses a day, just in times, and we could really get a lot of people vaccinated.
Ken, are they giving those vaccines out? Are they giving the same number to every county, or are they doing it by size? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, that has to do with population. They've got a formula within that looks at the demographics of the 75 and then the 70. So they're kind of toying with those numbers. We've on several occasions gotten a little bit frustrated with how they're doing it, and we've got concerns for our population. We've got concerns for our school teachers, because they're going back to school, and so we're working on that. And so there's a lot going on right now, and quite honestly, we're at the mercy of the state in regards to what they give us.
Right.
Okay, so I'll move on. So communication system, I know you want to hear about that. We got everybody cut over with the exception of Gallatin Fire Department. They cut over tomorrow. Westmoreland Fire Department will cut over sometime soon. Then Sumner County Highway Department in the mix there. Then volunteer fire, that's one of our big ones. And then the last two that come over will be Sumner County Schools and Emergency Management. So we're real close to having everybody cut over. The tower at Beach is up. Power's run to it. We're waiting on all the components to come in. The generator came in Friday. It'll be delivered out there probably tomorrow. That'll be hooked up. So we are nearing the end of the project and getting everything done. And we are very pleased with the system to date. Questions or concerns about the communication system? Thank you. So the last thing I've got is winter weather. Kind of pay attention to what's going on through the week and into the weekend. It's kind of gearing up to almost look like the 94 ice storm for those who are familiar with that. So they're predicting more problem to our west, but if the moisture and that cold trough push further east, we could have problems. So pay attention to that and make plans accordingly. And I will try not to bombard you with stuff that you don't need, but I will try to send information if it looks like it's going to get bad. And that's my report. Thank you.
Any idea when that might be coming in? About Wednesday, Friday, when we might see it if it's not here?
It'll probably start Wednesday going into Thursday and then linger on into the weekend. We're looking at really cold temperatures. The temperatures that were coming our way have actually shifted really far west. That drop way down into the country where we were going to get, and it's going to be cold here on into the weekend. But one thing that we've always got to consider is the Highland Rim. We go from 444.5 feet of elevation to over 1,300 feet up in the Westmoreland, Portland, and Millersville area. So those are some concerns that I have. when you get above that ridge, anybody that's driven above the ridge to 2 or 3 inches of snow or ice and everything's fine in Gallatin, Hendersonville, you know what I'm talking about.
All right, if there's nothing else there, we'll move on to the report of the Emergency Communications Center.
Good afternoon, everyone. So just a short report for us. We currently we've had 3 positive COVID cases recently. We have 2 that are out still. 1 has returned. We've hired 2 new employees in January, and last week we tested and conducted interviews, and we have selected 6 new candidates. We've sent them to get their drug and alcohol screening done, and we're waiting on results for them to come back to make a final offer. With that, we still have 10 vacancies. That includes a manager position and our deputy director. So technically 8 TCs that we need to hire. We received 2 resignations for the month of February. They will be leaving on the 17th and 19th. One's going to be going to our client agency, Gallatin, and the other is going to be staying home for a while. Our call stats, as Chief Miller said, calls have increased. For the year 2020, we answered 335,699 calls. We've started off our month of January with a rough 25,356 calls. So we've been steady from last year. Our months have been definitely comparable to 2019 and doing our call stats to see where we are. The calls are increasing, and we are just working on staffing accordingly to manage the increase in calls that we have. Trying to stay safe, and that's really all that we have going on here, dealing with the radio transition. And I have to say, everybody has been pleased with the new system that we have been working with. So that's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
I know I spoke to you, or we listened some on the 911 committee about everything that happened. I don't think we've met since that, all that went down in Nashville or anything. So if you want to talk about that just briefly.
Okay, so, it seems like such a lifetime ago as the months are passing us by. So on Christmas Day, there was the bombing in Nashville, and our phone lines were impacted by the bombing. So we lost service for 3 days. We operated off of our cell phones that we have here because they're on a different system. So the AT&T lines went down, and our cell phones that we have 18 manual flip phones. Who would think that we would still be using flip phones in this day and age, but they came in very handy. So all of our dispatchers were answering calls. So we really didn't lose much, except that we couldn't receive the incoming 911 calls into the center. We have our Rapid SOS system, which is a software that we use that verifies addresses. And so we could see on the call screen the numbers that were coming in. So on top of still getting calls, regular radio traffic, we would then have to distribute the numbers and call back to make sure that, if we could give assistance, if somebody actually needed anything, or if were they asking questions about the AT&T outage. So for about 3 days, we operated based on cell phones. And I have to say, we've got some short-term goals that we've, done an after-action report on, and to see areas that we can improve in. Again, but without service, not much that we could have done. No control over that part of it itself. AT&T and Sean and Tanya have been in several meetings since then to learn as far as what AT&T will take, what steps they'll take to improve the system going forward.
Thank you. I also want to say with everybody out here that I really appreciate the job that everybody involved did with getting those numbers out on the internet, different places. I know it came from several different sources to get those alternate numbers out there, and I really do appreciate that work on that.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any additional old business here. We do have some new business.
Mr. Chairman, Terry Wright is here, but
Okay.
he can hear us, but I don't know that he can speak. So I was just going to point that out, that he's here too.
There we go. We have several items up for surplus. Do we need to do these one at a time, or can we group and approve the surplus?
you can group and approve, and these are, much of this is law enforcement. So it is disposed of in different ways than just if it was an extra office chair. So be aware of that.
Okay.
Motion to group and approve, Mr. Chairman, Foster.
Guthrie, second.
And that would be for A, B, and D under new business. Okay. We'll say all in favor. If you're opposed, please say no by your name. Okay, hearing no no's, we're going to say that was approved unanimously. And the last item I have on here, we had to put this off because we had such a short meeting, I think last October. We had a purchasing practices anonymous complaint. This was over something that was some items purchased through the emergency services. And I think most everybody has probably seen the letter. I know that was all sent out, also a response from emergency services. I would like to say that I also contacted the purchasing department and David Lawing and went through all this with him to see if he felt like everything was on up and up. There was any difference or any impropriety at all, and he said there was not, as far as he could see. Of the 3 items on there, 2 of them were only bid by one company, so we really had no choice but to take that bid. And on the one other item, while this was not the low bid, it was a recurring cost situation that made it over the long term actually being cheaper and better for the county. So just as a chairman, I've looked into this and I don't have any issues. If anyone else has any questions or comments about this, now's the time we'd like to hear them.
Mr. Chairman,
I'll just
this is,
Go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to comment. I've looked at this thoroughly. I've questioned our director. There's no validity to this. If there were, anyone can bring a grievance to my office or the county attorneys. If there's any substance, we will address it and we will bring it to our commissioners in this committee. One, I think, key to this whole thing is if you're going to have a complaint, you come and you tell us what your complaint is in writing or in person, and you sign this so we know who you are, so we can take this serious. To send in an anonymous complaint is in and of itself questionable. So I just wanted to make that comment. I think that it's unfortunate that somebody took this route, and I consider it to have no validity. Thank you, sir.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
I was going to say that, when these letters came to us in September, I believe, when they came, I looked into it thoroughly in September and end of August, maybe in September, and talked to Chief Miller at length, talked to Ms. Denon, talked to Mayor Holt. I looked into all the details of it and found no validity to it at all myself. I feel like I feel bad that this happened to Chief Miller and he had to go through being questioned like that. But it happened, and I agree with Mayor Holt that it just doesn't have a name. It needs to have a name of some sort, or they need to at least decide they have confidence in one of the committee members to come to one of us in person. So at least somebody knows who it is. And that's all. I appreciate you, Chief Miller.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Unless there's a motion of some kind, I don't know that we need to do anything else with this, do we, Ms. Denon? Okay.
No, you don't need to do anything.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that. Anyone else have anything before we adjourn?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Wright.
Is Ken still with us?
He is.
I had some of the volunteer firemen come up and ask me when they were going to be able to communicate with the sheriff's office and EMA and EMS as far as their new radios. Do we have any idea on the time frame of that, Ken?
Commissioner, I'm hoping within the next 2 months, we'll have everybody on it. Now, understand this, that not everybody can talk to everybody. So everybody can talk to the people they need to talk to. So all the fire department's going to be able to talk. So I don't want to necessarily let anybody think that any firefighter in the county can talk to the sheriff on the radio, because that may not be the case. I'll have to actually look at the authorization, because each agency made a decision on who could talk to them. So every fire department will be able to talk to every fire department. They'll be able to talk to EMS. They'll be able to talk to EMA. They'll have the operational talk groups, the incident talk groups, the event talk groups. So I'm just saying, I'm just saying based on the question you asked, that I'll have to look at it, but I don't want to lead you to believe that everybody can talk to everybody, because people who are authorized can talk to people who are authorized them to talk to them. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. That makes sense.
Yes, sir.
But my main concern was, I don't guess they can talk to EMA or any of the other fire departments at this time. Is that correct?
Yeah, they can. No, they can.
They can. Okay. Maybe I was told wrong then. I will correct that here in
Yes,
just a little bit.
everybody in Oak Grove can talk to everybody in Highland Volunteer Fire, Gallatin Volunteer Fire, all the volunteer fire departments, Cottontown Volunteer Fire. If they've got the frequencies programmed, they can talk to Westmoreland Fire. Currently, all the fire departments that are on high band. EMS can talk to them. So if, let's say, for example, Chief Clark is on a call somewhere and they need to talk to him, currently he can go to their frequency and he can talk to them. Now, it is going to be a game changer when we go to the new system. There'll be a little learning curve as well when we get talking about incident response talk groups, and we've been testing it and it's working quite well right now. But when we're finished with this, every public safety agency, including Drug Task Force and Ball State Campus Police, will be on the system.
Well, the system that we have now, as far as I'm concerned with the sheriff's office, my personal usage of it is 200 times better than what we had in the past, and I appreciate it.
Yes, sir, and thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take a motion to adjourn, because we have another meeting starting in about 2 minutes here. So you got a motion?
Kruger, motion to adjourn.
You go.
Second.
So, all right. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.